Welcome to our March and April edition of Let's Get Growing, and it's a busy time in the landscape, so let's get growing. You want to start out by preparing your beds to accept those new plantings that you're going to do, annuals or perennials, because at this time we want to plant those warm season flowers and vegetables by incorporating first, for every 1,000 square feet of bed, we want to put 2 to 3 inches of compost out and then till that in. And then mow or freeze your freeze-damaged Asiatic jasmine and lyrope. You're going to lift your mower up all the way to its highest height and mow it off, and then you won't have those ragged edges in the summer. And then remove that dead debris and put it into the compost pile. You're going to mow as needed, and remember we have a don't bag it program, so you're going to be adding nutrients back to the lawn by not bagging it. But you're going to start out not at the lowest height. Don't scalp, just raise it, just lower it and raise it as the temperatures rise. And then divide your existing clumps of fall blooming perennials. And then you're going to fertilize all your planting beds except the azaleas. Hold off on the grass, it's not quite time yet. But remember, many trees and shrubs and lawns are killed by weed and feed products every year. So don't use weed and feed, use a pre-emergent and then a good healthy lawn. So you're going to fertilize 3 times a year with a 15-5-10 formula with a little sulfur-coated urea in it, and that's going to change the pH and make the nutrients that are there more readily available. And then look at this list of transplants that you can plant for this next year. And they're going to be seedlings when you start, but remember they grow up to be large plants. So look at the spacing on the label and make sure that you plant them like a checkerboard so that you cover more space, and then plant them at least 6 to 8 inches apart. And when you get into lantana and some of the others, you can go up to 18 inches apart. You're going to need to prune all your spring blooming shrubs after they bloom, and then mulch all your newly planted areas, bare spots, and then very lightly around trees and never up against the trunk. And then you're going to watch for aphids on the new growth, and if you see it, you'll just use plain insecticidal soap or diatomaceous earth. And then be careful about buying closeouts on bare-rooted trees, shrubs, roses, etc., because they're not going to do well for you at this time of year. Now look at this list of vegetables, and then you'll want to plant container-grown trees and shrubs, and then sow seeds of warm season annuals outdoors in beds where you want them to grow. You can directly seed perennials or annuals right into your bed. And then look at this list of plants that you can start from seeds, and you will have beautiful color all around your home and make that curb appeal pop. And then watch for aphids on the new growth, mildew on your roses, snails and pill bugs on the foliage on your violets and some of those petunias, some of our more tender annuals. Cutworms are busy at this time, and you can use BT or Bacillus thuringiensis. Dipel would be a brand name to get rid of them. That's an organic way. And then watch for squash bugs, loppers, and armyworms, and BT will help you along with diatomaceous earth. And then there's many things to do, as we talked about before. Mulch those newly planted areas, mow once a week, hand water those newly planted and bare spots so that annuals will grow. Fertilize your newly planted annuals when you see that second set of leaves come out. And then prune your climbing roses after they bloom. And you'll take off about 1/3, and then for every new cane that comes out, take off 1 cane. And then last but not least, start weeding early in the vegetable garden and your flower beds, because when you get them small, they come up much easier. And when you let them get big, that's a place for insects and disease to hide out. They're vectors, and they're also sucking water and nutrients away from your desirable plants. So this is called a spathiphyllum or a peace lily, and it has those white blooms on it. And they usually stand up like this and look very nice, but Oh my goodness, has this been in the wrong place for too long? I would say so, because look, we've lost the foliage down here on the bottom of the canes, and so all we need to do is rejuvenate it. Now this was came from a florist, and so it has this moss on the top. We want to remove that, and now we want to remove any debris that's growing around the base. And you can see new little roots coming out already. All these little knobs that you see sticking out on the plant become either an air root or a soil root, depending what they come in contact with. So now that we've cleaned a lot of the debris out, we're going to, first of all, using a nice potting soil. You can tell this one's quite loose, dark, not a lot of perlite in it, and a little bit of time-released fertilizer. So what I'm doing is bringing the plant up to its original level, and now you gently put your fingers in around the plant, turn it upside down, and gently. Now you can see the white roots are viable, they're new, good ones, and then you can see these brown ones are the older ones that have died off. So I'm placing it into the pot. Let's move it just a little bit closer to our soil. And you want it to be a little bit lower. We're going to raise the soil height in order to allow this plant to have some stability. In addition, that's going to allow it to re-root. And so this was in the office. I'm going to say it's been up there for 4 years. And so you can see that it's not always necessary to repot every year. Every 3 to 4 years for an indoor plant is probably fine. The more you repot it, the more it grows. So you can see that we're covering up those little nodules and giving the plant some stability, making sure that we fill in all the air pockets around it. And don't forget, a saucer is always important. That's a wrap on our first spring edition of Let's Get Growing, and I hope you have a productive summer and start out by preparing your soil, planting your annuals and vegetables, and watering thoroughly. Mulch and grow on.